Folks, welcome back. My name is Rudy. You're watching Alpha Investments. Not much content today. Mostly just want to tell you guys thank you. For the longest time, the way this things work on this YouTube channel is that the subscriber count and the view counts are directly correlated, not really to the videos that I make, but the conditions of the market. So obviously through 2022 to 2023, this YouTube channel just kind of stayed at like 300,000 subscribers. And then once the market turned and everybody started getting excited about cards again, we bumped up to about 350,000 subscribers and moved. And now at Q4 of 2025, we are, for the first time ever, this YouTube channel is at 400,000 subscribers. I was not aware of that until a bunch of you guys sent congratulation emails, and I said, hey, appreciate it. And it's a very bittersweet thing how time works and YouTube and this cardboard life works. I've always been infatuated with time. I've always felt that, well, everybody's focused on what is the hot product or what is the flavor of the month or what, Pokemon or Magic set's going to be booming. I've always been more focused on the time, the whole concept of time, the lack of time, how little time we have. I think that's probably one of the reasons that we as humans are hardwired, where when we lose money, the pain of the loss is like twice that of the pleasure of a gain, So when you lose money, it usually feels so much more painful versus making money. It's always, and we dwell on the things that we get wrong, and we dwell on the losses and the bad investments or the bad items or the bad collectors or the bad stock or the bad real estate or the bad coin you bought or whatever. But really, everything in life, all this stuff just comes down to time. And that's kind of the dirty secret of all this stuff in life, everybody, is that, a lot of you guys really liked my phrase in the other video where I said, markets like this make us feel smarter than what we are. Bull markets make us all give that false sense of confidence and that false cockiness. We all feel like we're good investors and good collectors, and we all feel more empowered in times when you can wake up on a daily, weekly, monthly basis and whatever stock you bought goes up in the markets, whatever Pokemon box you bought goes up, and watching every Magic the Gathering collector box from 5 years finally do something, all of a sudden everybody just feels really, really cocky, really confident. And I like to remind you all that it's kind of weird, because to me, a lot of people are infatuated with like how I think about these things, how I go about it, and what makes Rudy pick certain things. And I've always operated on kind of a strange perspective of these cards, and most of the time, not always, but I don't really seek out certain products or boxes or certain things. I kind of let the market kind of guide us, but it always comes back to time, everybody. The meme on this channel was the 10 years on YouTube, how long has Rudy been on YouTube, and approaching, going in the next 4 or 5 months, going towards 11 years on YouTube is just like, it's a meme and all, but it's a little freaky, man. It's a little. There's times I still feel like I'm new at it. There's times I make videos with you guys and it still feels very, I don't know, like, hey, I wonder how the views, if anyone's going to watch this. Hey, I wonder how this channel is going to do. It still feels weird. And other times, some of the memes just become really fun, and some of them become eternal. Some of them, time just makes it seem funnier. We have comments and things we talk about, then sometimes in the future, a news event or a headline or something happens, and it connects to something, and we all go, oh my God, But really the point of this video is, just want to thank everybody for watching this channel for going for over 10 and a half years now. And it's very surreal that, a channel that doesn't accept sponsors outside anything, outside approvals. There's no real censorship. There's no real controls in place. There's no real, outside funding besides you all watching the channel and patrons who like the videos, and some of you guys buy stuff from me, and some of you guys just like to talk to me. And that's really the whole thing. That really is. Sometimes when things seem so easy on camera, it almost seems like there's got to be more to it. It almost feels like it's got to be fake, or like the first 2 years on this channel when I launched and kind of got going, from 2017 to the end of 2016 to 2017, the general consensus on the internet was actually that don't buy from Rudy because he prints his own cards, or they're fake, or you won't get them. That was a big hurdle to overcome from the internet, because how many people just really are fraudulent, and they really just, they don't do a good job. But like I always say, it comes back to time. And I kind of knew this for many, many years, and I've told you all, when doing this channel and the early designs of it, the idea was if I gave enough time, it would the Tetris pieces would fall into place. All the pieces, the sets, the boxes, like everything would kind of fall and kind of prove itself, and what was real, all the fake stories online would kind of dissipate, and people would read, because you can always tell the eBay sellers or the TCG sellers that are legitimate, or that are real, that actually send their product, because they stand the test of time. The people who are offering something that's too good to be true, or the people who are seeking out the most cheapest, no matter what shady source or anything, I always know in a long enough time they don't make it. They always break. There's always a black swan event. There's always a market cycle point where things do kind of pop and crack, and they kind of break off, and they kind of fall off to the side. Obviously in this market we don't see a lot of that. In 2023, for those of you who were around, there's actually a lot of videos I was making back then where there's actually, if you guys go on YouTube and hit Alpha Investments space Blaze of Glory, or you're gonna see old videos where some of these stores went out in a blaze of glory, where I remember there was two or three that really stand out when the markets were bad. And of course stores were taking hundreds of thousands of dollars in pre-orders and then disappeared. Then other people would they copied my business model, and they tried to say, we're gonna do everything cheaper. And they took tons of orders in capital that started kind of the Ponzi scheme thing. We're taking money from the pre-order to pay for the previous order. And there's always a thing where a long enough time frame goes by, and once again, time will reveal kind of who can stand the test of it. And I've always been fascinated with that. A lot of people new to this channel don't know the history, don't know how we started real small. It's funny because you look back on the videos from 2016 through 2018, you'll notice none of those videos even have large piles of inventory behind me. Because even in 2016-17, I didn't have the access to the money and the capital. We didn't have the investments that paid off. Things weren't even that wealthy and successful back in the first few years of this channel. You'll notice there were no backgrounds with a lot of product. I kind of did some things where I put it on the bookcase and different stuff, but it really wasn't in place yet. But the time is really kind of the point I want to drive home with you all, is that it's kind of weird when we think about this, because sometimes I always ask myself, I'm like, okay, so in like 5, 10, 20, 30 years from now, when all these content creators we're watching are old, retired, we die, we move on, like how weird is that era gonna be in multiple decades, or like a century from now? How weird is the world gonna be with all these YouTube videos and market discussions from the past, and how is that gonna be perceived? And it's interesting because what I've learned so far is, as time goes by, you'll see the posts on social media, and you'll see how they age compared to the videos and things that people discuss all over YouTube. And it's kind of funny because just the longer you wait, the more wild some of the videos look. And a good example is some of my old Magic videos, some of my old videos on Pokemon, the Rudy's Pokemon bathroom. You know, a lot of these things become very, almost iconic for how people view it today. Like, I love going back sometimes and looking at a video from like 2018 of like Rudy's Pokemon bathroom of failure. And you see these comments of, oh God, that guy, I knew Rudy. And you see all these stories that are made up. And you see the comments of, I used to be the patron, and everybody running. I got scammed and everything was bad. And you see like on these videos, and it says like 7 years ago. And rip off price on this Pokemon set or this Magic set. And you look at everything and you're going, holy cow, that's Roaring Skies. Is that Ancient Origins? Is that, what was that a couple years ago? What was that? Lord of the Rings, Fallout, Karlov. And then you go real far back and you see the Kaladesh, the Aether, the Eldritch Moon, the Shadows, the Battle for Zen, the Oath, OG Dom. You see a lot of these things. And it's just weird how I feel like the card world, everybody examines every new release with like 100 magnifying glasses, trying to get the edge. And people always ask me, Rudy, how do you approach? How do you look at it? What do you think about this new set? What do you think? I'm getting all these messages from you guys saying, Rudy, what about the new Star Trek next year? What about the new Marvel set next year? And it's hilarious because I'm sitting here like, I have no idea. Like, I made a video 12 to 18 months ago telling you guys there's a Star Trek set coming. And those were emails to myself. I hope it's true because I think it'd be really fun. And here we are like 2 years later. And it's like, oh, Star Trek set. And I'm like, oh, wow, didn't see that coming. And it's just funny how time and leaks, and I think people should focus and study more on just how life and time works. It's tough because a lot of people try to make videos and a lot of people try to make topics that conform and that fit in with the current thumbs up or uptick or like, or I don't know, the up arrow on Reddit and stuff. I don't know what all the terminology is. But a lot of people like to post and discuss things that they feel would conform and really give them that good feedback loop based on where a current moment is. And I don't think a lot of people have the education and the life experience to really understand that it's actually very dangerous to do that, because things are guaranteed to change. And you have to be careful ridiculing or accusing a store or a YouTuber or a business or a distributor or even a card company, even Wizards as a whole, or Pokemon right now. Because you have to step back and say, what is most likely going to happen long term? Is some powerful company going to not evolve or change are they really going to let it all go to zero? And every one of these conversations comes back to time. I've always, selfish Rudy has always felt that this YouTube channel was always severely undersubscribed and underviewed. My opinion on finance and general discussions and cards and the market, I watched a lot of other things over the last 20 years on YouTube, and I've always felt that I've done a pretty good job at discussing things with you guys, And I've always felt that overall, like compared to some of the other stuff I've watched or seen come and go, I've always thought that, and of course I'm biased to myself. I've always thought that this channel should have been bigger with more views than what it is. But, I don't really believe in spending the time to make editing. I do a long, real conversation. I'm not really going to have a bunch of jump cuts every few seconds. I'm not going to edit in graphics. I'm not going to edit an intro. I'm not going to put a flashy thumbnail. I'm not going to take an outside sponsor. For 10 years now, or actually after the first year of doing this, I learned quickly, I don't do outside interviews. I don't appear on really other YouTube channels. I don't really do, unless it was some sort of a couple major YouTubers that would want to actually have me sit down for a long form conversation. In general, I don't ever see myself doing that. I've had tremendous amount of people ask over the years, a lot of small YouTube channels, medium channels, even some decent sized YouTube channels. I've had a lot of news and media things or reporters send messages asking for an interview or a Zoom call and a comment on things. I get a lot of that stuff over the years. It's always just delete. I don't trust any of that stuff. Things they'll edit and crop things and spin narratives. I never really, versus if you just watch the videos on this channel that are long form, you can probably get a better understanding of kind of where I stand on things and just kind of what I feel the right thing to do is and how to navigate markets and do stuff. And I think at this moment, for the first time ever, we crossed 400,000 subscribers on this channel. I know I don't ever expect this YouTube channel to hit 1 million. I don't ever expect to get a gold play button and hit 1 million. I don't think this channel appears and is recommended enough and appeals to enough people without the push and everything that I don't have the flashier certain things that I think would appeal to a lot of younger, shorter attention span people. I don't have that ability. I don't have that mindset to do that kind of thing. I just want to kind of tell you all thank you for the 10.6 years on YouTube. I want to thank everybody for the 400,000 subscribers. I want to thank the patrons for the largest, most powerful collectible card world Patreon army ever created, ever built, and ever existed. I don't know long term. Like in 20 years from now, the odds of me doing this are very low. I enjoy doing it, so it's tough for me to see a life now where I don't, because I really just like doing it many times. It's a good outlet for me to kind of discuss and spill my thoughts and market discussion with myself to, I feel, people who are interested and want to listen. But I think about sometimes, is there ever going to be, in 10 years from now, are there going to be a bunch of other, copycat little Rudies that are going to have these giant Patreon accounts and warehouses, and they're going to be a bunch of Rudy 2.0s and 3.0s? I think about that kind of stuff, because hundreds of people at this point have tried to copy me and do things. And for a while, we had this fun little list in the warehouse where I was making a list of how many people were trying to copy the Rudy Empire, the Rudy Patreon. And I think we got to 78 Patreon copycats of "we'll do it better without scamming you like Rudy." I think we got to around 70 or 80. And I think we stopped doing it because then everything got busy. We felt we just kind of stopped, but we still have it hanging. It's kind of funny. And the thing is, a lot of these people who do it, they're good people and good stores. And I always say, well, I don't think, maybe just to kind of set the record straight on that, keep in mind, everybody, it is important that hopefully one day there are other little Rudy 2.0s that carry the torch and do this. I'm not going to be doing this forever, so what's going to happen in 20 years, Can you imagine in 20 years going back and watching Rudy's Pokemon bathroom from 30 years ago? Could you imagine that? How weird is it going to be in 100 years when anyone watching this video, we're all dead, and another generation and era is looking back on us and discussing products of what we think is going to zero. The time thing is the most disturbing, uncomfortable topic for me in my life. The Rudy midlife crisis mindset, because I'm 40. Wait, no, I'm 41. That whole concept the time concept has bothered me for ever. It's bothered me for years, even when I was younger. And I feel like it's only going to get more bothersome as I continue to get older. Because I find the time thing just disturbing, because the more you zoom out and the more you discuss time with people, the more uncomfortable and awkward and shitty it feels. Because in 100 years, like, there's not a single one of you holding your phone viewing this right now that'll even be alive. In 100 years, every single card and box of cards and investment and stock and house that you all own and I own is not going to be ours. Like, it all just resets, right? And then, like, in 3 generations, 4 generations later, no one's even going to remember half the things that even happened that we all worry about. Like, it's creepy. It's to the point where all of that stuff gets very, I don't know if I want to say philosophical or religious or spiritual or whatever view you all have and I have. I don't know. But I'm just saying the time thing is that critical component. It is the cornerstone. It is the foundation of all this. And that's why when I discuss this channel with you guys, with cards, in boxes, in stocks, in real estate, in debt, in your life, as long as you don't do dumb things and you manage your risk, you take care of yourself, you stay active and healthy, the odds are you'll have a certain depends what your view is, you'll have a certain amount of usable years, okay? Most of us, until we're over the age of 18, 21, 25, we really don't get a good, stable feel for our life until we go 20s, 30s, 40s. And in reality, from the age of 21 to pretty much 61, you got a 40-year block of time. And that is your prime, healthy, active, earning, family, reproducing, investing. You kind of find your way, right? And there's just moments that we all have. In mornings or late nights, you sit back and you just kind of... I've been talking to you guys on this camera for almost 11 years. Because, and it gets weird, because that's why for me, like even the Scarlet Violet Pokemon and the Sword and Shield Pokemon, for me, it's a weird thing because it's tough for me to accept that Evolving Skies is like a $20,000 sealed case. It's tough for me to accept that Lord of the Rings Holiday is like $2,500 to $3,000 a box, whatever it is today. It's difficult. Like the Wilds of Eldraine situation. Somebody told me Wilds of Eldraine tanked, and it went from like 1,000, now it's back to 925. But it's tough for me because of my time and my devotion to it to view some of these things that way. There's a lot of weird things that kind of distort how you view things. And I thought today would be a good day to talk about this. We're not really pumping anything. We're not chilling. I'm not hitting on you guys' stepsister. I'm not trying to get you guys a thumbs down or sideways the video. I think I'm like the only YouTuber that doesn't tell you to subscribe or like or... I don't really... You guys do whatever the fuck you want. But it's a weird thing. And it's so weird now in the last 2 years to see what time has done to the first 9 years of videos on this channel. It's really made it, like it's made a lot of the older videos just almost seem, like some of you guys will dig it through this channel's video history. And you'll see us talking about different card games, some card games that failed, some card games that, effed us all over and bamboozled us with bad management and lied to us. Then you see videos about Pokemon bathrooms with failure. Then you see videos about me warning you guys to buy this, or Rudy's doing this. Here's what I'm going to do. And then you see the market's reaction. And it gets really weird when a decade later you start to look back at the past, because some of it just gets almost cringy and uncomfortable, because it's like, oh my God, was he talking about a $100 what? A $200 collector box? Oh my, $200 for Ixalan? Wait, what? It gets weird. It feels weird, you know? And the time thing is just weird, everybody. And it really shows that you have to make decisions in this world sometimes that are really uncomfortable and miserable. And you have to hope those decisions are the right decision long term. Because in the short term, the more difficult the decision, the more it feels off. Maybe it feels uncomfortable. Maybe it's like, am I going to lose a lot of money? Is this the wrong choice? Is this the wrong job? Is this the wrong person? Is this relationship? Is this purchase? Is this house? Is this car? You can apply it to anything. But you step back and there are moments in life, you know, I don't like using the word luck on this channel because I always feel it almost polishes and it almost amplifies a vibe that I don't feel comfortable with. I don't like saying luck. But the reality is in life, one can argue there is a certain amount of luck that we all have to apply to the hundreds of decisions that we all make every single day. Every day we wake up, from the moment we wake up, everything is forks in the road. You know, like say in the movie, like, you know, ones and zeros and decisions and, you know, blue pill, red pill from the movies and the Matrix. You know, everything is like every moment is just forks in the road. Do I do this? What should I eat tonight? Should I watch this? Should I go outside? Should I run this errand? Should I buy this? Should I look this up on the phone? Should I go over here? Like the more you break it down, just you realize the complexity of decision trees that are made every day. And that's when you get to these arguments about luck with people. Where, you know, why is it some people seem to be more lucky than others? Why is it some people, no matter what happens, everything just goes bad? And that's when you start to really have that argument. Is it luck? Is it really certain people just are always lucky? Or is it that certain people maybe view things different? Maybe they try harder. Maybe there are some people who work harder than other people. Maybe it is that simple. Maybe there are other people who are willing to learn, put time and educate. Maybe there are people who are willing to put more effort into things. So that long periods of time, those little bits of extra time. I mean, it's one of those things where if you spent 30 minutes a day doing something or learning something or reading something, do you not realize 30 minutes of even just doing something beneficial a day? Do you know what that, like in a week, you're talking 3-4 hours a week. In a month, what are you at? 12, 15 hours a month? And then a year? Now you're at like a couple hundred hours in 1 year? Think about the difference. And see, that's the thing, is that time has this fucking crazy thing of taking these little things that we do and turning them into these huge, monumentous, is that a word? Fuck it, we're going with monumentous, or just these monumental, you can tell I'm a numbers guy, not an English guy. It turns these little things into these empires, or you master a skill because you kept putting effort into something. You have a breakthrough in something. You know, that's like when people discover this channel, and again, we are in the era of Scalper Scanner 5000. Oh God, I gotta tell you a story about that. But I don't, should I tell you the story about that? I got an email, I got a bunch of patron messages this morning saying apparently some dude discovered my channel for the first time ever, and he posted it on was it Discord, Reddit, or Facebook, one of the social media websites, saying like this guy's in, and apparently this dude put a comment online saying that Rudy has hundreds of NVIDIA chips and actually builds a scanning scalp bot and actually runs the bot all day and night to come after all of you. And I shared that this morning with the family. It was one of the funniest moments. Like my 10-year-old was walking around going, beep, boop, boop, scanning for breakfast and bacon. Like, I didn't know. It was one of the funniest moments I've had in a while. It was like an actual belly laugh. Like, we had a great time. But now that I've calmed down from it, I can't believe there are people that are so, do I say dumb? Do I say uneducated? Do I call them Timmies? There are people out there that will watch a video on this channel and they think Rudy has like 500 NVIDIA chips and computers running scalper scanner 5,000 machines. And there are angry people thinking that's a real thing. I don't know if that's the greatest meme of all time and I need to have the Alpha Investment shirt with literally a robot arm that says Scalper Scanner 5000 that's holding a taco, or like, I don't know how to take that. And then I just like, I know I'm way off topic. I just had to share. And you guys know, like people sent me this and I was dying. They sent me screenshots. I was dying. I think it was maybe Facebook. Somebody comment below if you know what I'm talking about. But there are people who believe this crazy stuff. There are people who believe these wild stories. There are people who believe these extravagant tinfoil hat goofy things. Like for 10.6 years, we joke about stepsisters getting stuck in a washing machine and stepbros got to help get her out. And I mean, like, that'd be like a hot chick actually doesn't want to go in a laundry room because she's afraid of getting stuck in the washing machine. Like, I don't know if I feel bad for her or if that's just the funniest shit I've ever heard. But it also shows the level of anxiety, anger, emotion, fear, conspiracy, the story. It shows how wild the world we live in is. It's a truly surreal thing sometimes. Like, we are living in some of the greatest times ever in human history. Like, on almost all metrics. Now, your situation may not feel that way, but on an overall data set, on a grand scale, that is factual. That's not my opinion. That is just where the world is. Now, everyone's individual experience will differ, but on an overall law of large numbers and averages, that's where we're at. But there are people that continue to just be very angry and agitated on things. And I encourage everyone out there to remember, we have such little time in this world, and such little window to use the time. And the shitty part about life is many times we don't realize how good we have it or what time we have left until we're older. Like, you don't, like, your brain is not developed enough until you're like over the age of 30 to even comprehend certain things. And like, you look back, like, even on the topic of just money, there's really only a couple paths. If you have a ton of money, there's going to be more opportunity and there's going to be choices and decisions you can make because you have access to resources. That's a fact. Doesn't mean you're going to be happier, but it's going to give you a different set of choices. Money is utility. It's not an instrument to make you happy. Now, if you have a lot of time, you don't need as much money, right? If you have time to carry the weight and multiply these little things for you, you don't need as much money. And a lot of people have figured that out. I mean, it's happened on Wall Street with just even the S&P, buying the Qs, buy the VU, buy the SPY, just the overall market. If you literally, from any point in history, you could have bought at the top of the 2008 crash, the top of the 2020 crash, the top of the Black Money in the 80s, late 87, 89. You could have bought the top of the Y2K. It doesn't even matter if you're the worst investor of all time. It doesn't even make a difference. And, all I've done is applied this to one of the largest, most beautiful secondary markets in modern times. Trading cards. Magic and Pokemon. CCGs. Sports cards and baseball been around before I was born. And sports cards and the big booming sports card market will continue. I mean, it's not for me. I don't have a passion for it. I like game cards. But it's like, folks, the time. It's time. You don't even need to have millions of dollars to even make $1 million. If you start early enough and you're able to leverage more time. The more time you have, the less money you need. You don't need, if you do little things, but you have a long runway, that amplifying, that multiplication, multiplicity, that multiplier is so powerful. And I think certain things have really become theories in internet chatter that I don't think they're theories anymore. I don't think it's internet chatter anymore. I find it sad that a lot of people find it difficult to accept where the world is and where it's heading. And a lot of people have the right to be upset. But when you look at cards, Magic and Pokemon, the two that lead the industry, Pokemon knows what they're doing. They are the king. They are King Dingaling, right? And if you look at Pokemon, they like what's happening. I know everyone thinks this whole term and the joke and the memes, the Scalper Scanner 5000, powered by Rudy's 100 NVIDIA chips. But there's like Pokemon collecting and card collecting and sports card collecting and game card collecting and investing. It is a real thing, and it's not a theory anymore. It's a statistically proven thing over a 20 to 30 year time period. And it works. Like, it's wild to see that people still question whether it works. There's a point when the data set is so confirmed, incredible, that it's not even, like, I find it kind of boring to talk about because there's nothing to discuss or convince when it comes to, like, sealed Pokemon. Like, it doesn't matter in the short term. See, markets are weird. Short-term markets are dangerous. Long-term markets are almost kind of safe. Like, volatility almost dissipates the longer the amount of time that's applied to it. And that's a really peculiar form of compounding in finance. I remember studying finance in college and at the brokerage firm and certain things. And I always found it very weird how there are just certain things that just, like, so it almost feels magical. It almost feels like magic. I know, no pun intended, right? It almost, because it doesn't seem like it should work, but it does, you know? And then the second component of that is you have people that believe that Wizards, Hasbro, and Pokemon, like, there are actually people out there that believe that these companies are unhappy with the growth, or that they want to put an end to prices rising. Like, that's never been true. Like it's completely fictional and made up. Like, there's never been a point in history where Pokemon and Magic said, we want everything, we're going to make sure everything collapses and never does again. There's never been a single press release of these companies really trying to say and prevent and stop how things have performed the last 30 years. Now, Pokemon and Magic have done press releases about being aware of the difficulty to acquire the items. They're aware that many Pokemon people can't get access. We're going to do the best we can to print extra. And that's a very legal corporate speak of saying, the money's flowing, we're going to give you more and we're going to make more money. Well, you have uneducated people thinking, good, they're going to crash it for me so we can teach them a lesson. Like, it's a really wild thing, everybody. It's a wild thing. And I don't know why people still think that even Wizards and Hasbro want Final Fantasy to tank. They want Magic prices to come back down. They want, I'm sorry, the MSRP in this gang. They want everything below. Like, that's not a thing. That's not, like, these companies don't say that. It's something that the internet and the social media machine has kind of made us believe that they want, but they don't. And you have a marketplace where the company making the product is on board with the distributors, the stores, the players, collectors, and even investors all want the same thing. And they want a healthy secondary market that grows over time so they can keep producing product, printing cardboard, and so that the money machine can go for another 100 years. That is the end goal. Pokemon wants growth. They want to keep printing like they're doing. Magic wants to keep making new things. Magic has spent the last 5 years tweaking, modifying, adding, subtracting, removing, manipulating cards, serialization, variants, subsets, trying to find the sweet spot for collector boxes so that they would not tank anymore. And here we are in year 6 of collector boxes. And how can anyone acknowledge that after 5 to 6 to 7 years of tweaking and designing these products, that they finally figured out the solution to the Rubik's Cube? And yet you have people online going to social media, sending messages to wizards and groups and things to kind of feel like they're included in something, and it's not real. HR and all this feel-good stuff of social media for the community, environment, we're going to do a giveaway, it's not authentic. Follow the money. Follow this. I clearly, and again, you guys know this, I clearly discovered and realized even my own faults in this stuff years ago. And that's why in 2019, when they started doing collector boxes, I made the decision, I told you all for 6 years in this channel, that I am going to build positions in every collector box possible. And I'm going to wait and I'm going to ride into the sunset. It's either going to work or I'm going to lose. I'm going to be the guy who loses $100 million in my lifetime, and they'll make a Netflix series and I'll be on Wikipedia as the biggest loser of all time. And I was okay with that. And I'm still okay with that. Same thing with Pokemon. I learned my lesson from the Sun and Moon and the Sword and Shield all the way back to the XY era. I learned my lesson on XY, Sun and Moon. I learned it. And I vowed when that Sword and Shield hit, I went all in. And I built positions in all the Sword and Shield. And I can't prove it, but I feel like I was almost first to market doing that. And even then we rolled over to Scarlet Violet. And then I said, you know what? Now my resources are bigger. The business is bigger. We're going to hit it even fucking harder. And we're going to Sword and Shield that shit up for thousands of boxes of every set. And all I did was stay the course. And I didn't do anything special. And sometimes the most simplest thing like that is so ridiculous sounding, it can't be true because it's so simple and boring. So to end this video, no, we're not halfway through. I'm actually going to end it. Thank you to everybody for 400,000 subscribers. The title of this video will be Time, I guess, or I don't know, Rudy's quitting or bankruptcy. I'll have to put a negative title, otherwise people won't share it and do things. And I am so proud and honored and privileged and lucky, and I don't use lucky much, to be in the situation I am. I made a ton of choices, took a ton of risk over the last 10 to 20 years with cards, and I stayed with it in the darkest of times. And I feel like I've been rewarded with massive amounts of money from doing that. And because of that, I almost feel this strange double-edged love-hate relationship with it because of, you know, it's tough to just view or see some of that differently, because when you go through so many months, when you go through 1,000 days of a bear market and bad things, and then all of a sudden it's worth a lot, it's tough to change your mindset when you've only viewed something a certain way. And the point of this video, everybody, is time. It took me 10.6 years to get 400,000 subscribers on this channel, around 4,000 YouTube videos. It took 10 years of the 10.6 years to build the largest Patreon army the collectible world has ever seen. There's not even a close second place. And I don't know what that means for the next 10 years. Does it continue? Does the market change? I don't know. But what I do know is humans will continue to be predictable. The market will continue to just reward those who have the utmost respect for time. It's the same principle that, like you all know, the rumors on the internet, is it true Rudy bans and locks out every person who closes their Patreon account. I don't know why this is like a magical thing. It's been that way for 5.5 years now. And yes, again, those rumors are accurate. I do not allow people to time the market open and close. I'm not Netflix. I'm not Blockbuster. I am not your stepsister's one-bedroom apartment where you can come and go when you want. That's why she gets all the phone calls at night and I don't. And time will reward it.